Hello and greetings to the best family on YouTube. Well, that's our opinion here at least. Our wonderful and fantastic everyday carry or EDC family. I'm your host, Profit. With me as always is the professor, and pawing along here somewhere is the little bulldog named Chaos. We also have a special guest in the studio today for the first time. We have my little kitten here. I know you can't hear and you can't really say hi right now, but I have a feeling we might get some help in a future video here. We'll have to see, and you'll have to wait. All right. Once again, EDC family, we're going to have a first impression and unboxing. We have the item on the table here. It's right in front of us. Just to give you a quick reminder, what is an unboxing? Well, it is a shorter version of our carry or bury full game. Basically what it is we have not tested, have not used this object in the real world. So we need to do that, but I don't want to waste my time. We have so many knives and so many things happening on the compound here. It's really hard to do. So if we feel like this is something that is worth our time, then we will carry it around for 60 days minimum and let you know our true feelings on if you should buy this object or not. Once again, we do not have sponsorship and we do that on purpose. Oh, I know you see the winter blade towel here. That's a little different. I digress. So the knife that you're going to see today is going to be the XO K. K, what does K stand for? Karate? Like karate chop? No, K stands for karambit. What is a karambit? Well, if you don't know, you'll find out shortly. All right, so talking about sponsorship, Winter Blade does not sponsor this channel in any way. However, they have exciting drops happening, and they're in my home state of Minnesota. Brian Winters of Winter Blade is an amazing engineer. I consider him a dear friend, and what him and his family have accomplished for the EDC community is absolutely amazing. So they're going to have another drop today, and sometimes there's some extra stuff, or some people haven't picked out all the colors. So please head over to Winter Blade's website, which will be in our description. Take a peek at some of the brand new knives that they're going to be having. So they're going to go quick. So we're going to get rid of our Winter Blade towel, and we'll replace it briefly here, right? Very briefly with our carrier bury towel. Because, you know, the professor loves to give me a lot of hard times. We'll remove that, and what you see is what you'll get if you purchase an XO-K. And again, K does not stand for Kool-Aid, right? It stands for karambit. What is a karambit knife? Well, let's find out together. We're going to open the box. Reate always does a really good job with packaging. You're going to get a microfiber towel, throw that to the side. You're going to get your really neat karambit XO-K card here. It's going to give you information like, I don't know, the model number, the button lock type, so what type the handle is, what it's made out of, what's the blade steel. In this particular case, we're looking at Bowler N690. This blade is stonewashed, so it does not have a PVD coating or other coating. We're going to be about a 3.1 inch blade. It does show 3 inches on here. I think that they're using cutting length. The karambit style blade, as you will see in a moment, is a hawkbill style blade. And what does that mean? Well, just what it sounds like. So you have the knife here. I'm going to try my best to open this on camera. One of the big downfalls of these is they're very dangerous. But the cool thing is, Reate actually gives you something to get used to opening these knives, and that is a knife that you cannot hurt yourself on. So we're going to take both of these out of the case. You get some extra hardware here. It looks like we got a pivot. We got a couple screws if you want to change anything, or if you're missing something. That's pretty darn cool in my book. Always a plus with Reate's packaging. Let's put that aside. Now, before we go any closer, let's get our karambits on the table here. And I think it's time, especially after going over our Winter Blade friendship here, let's see what we're carrying today. So it's time to show me the flipper. And I actually carried this today. This is the Winter Blade Severn. And if it doesn't look like the Severn you own, it's probably because this is a super limited edition one, and you will never see these again. I was lucky enough to pick this guy up. It will be in my collection forever. And this is one of the coolest knives I've ever owned. Absolutely fantastic. Yes, sir. Oh, the blade steel on this. Wow, I know it's different from your guys' Severns, but it's pretty cool. To me, it's MagnaCut. And if you want to know anything more about MagnaCut or the Bowler N690, which you're going to see on this wonderful little guy, if I remember how to open it here. Give me 1 second. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's how you do it. Here's the Bowler N690. Here's the MagnaCut. If you have any questions on blade steel, head over to knifesteelnerds.com, where you will see the inventor of MagnaCut himself, Dr. Laren Thomas. He invented not only MagnaCut, but he also wrote Knife Engineering. If you're a nerd like me, or if you just really like to know the steel structures, the crystalline structures of what you're doing, how a knife stays sharp, how steel gets done in its powder metallurgy form, the book is fantastic. It's a hell of a read. Again, it was written by probably the best PhD in the business. Okay, let's move our winter blade knife out of the way for a moment. My pen today was the Grimsmo Saga. You can pick these guys up on Grimsmo's website. They're about $400, and I know what you're saying. $400 for a pen, Profit? Jeez Louise. It's worth every penny. This is absolute perfect machining. John Grimsmo, who again is a wonderful friend, is one of the most amazing engineers I've ever met in my life. Self-taught on all of his coding, and he does a fantastic job on those 3-axis machines. Flashlight today, we just used a little tiny Olight since I haven't really done much today. Little the 3T of the EOS system. These are little battery operated guys. This is a limited edition Facebook one. We're going to be giving this away on the channel, so stay tuned on that. Get yourself a limited edition Facebook flashlight. On to the bread and butter of our unboxing. Now, oh, that's right. You actually have to have your hand in the knife to actually open it. And I know you guys are saying, why don't you practice on the plastic one, Profit? Well, I don't really like being told what to do. So what you do is you're going to give it a flip, right? You're going to close it up like that, and it's going to go inside, and you are going to close it. Where people have an issue, and I'm going to show you on the plastic one. So when you've got your hand on the button, okay, and you've got your finger through the karambit hole for your defense mode, you flip it out, right? And the knife flips out. I'm under a camera, folks, so bear with me. The knife will flip out like this. You're going to want to flip it back. What's been happening is it actually comes through, and it is cutting fingers off when you're using the sharpened one. So it's something you're going to want to really be careful with, and we might hear a little bit about that in the needs and nails section here. That's right, we still kind of do a needs and nails, even though it's more first impression style. Let's get rid of the plastic one and get the bread and butter up, and let's see if I can open that on camera. My goodness. There we go. Okay, got it open. Let's put it down so Profit doesn't lose a finger in the process here. And you're probably wondering yourself, hey, Profit, tell me a little bit about Reate, or who designed this crazy gravity-styled karambit. This was actually done by one of their board members. His name is Zhao Yang, okay? He is one of their primary designers over there, and he's on their board at Reate over in China. He's designed their other exo knives as well. Mr. Wang has an Instagram account. We'll have that in the description, where they actually will share photos and get votes of upcoming designs. Pretty darn cool, if you ask me. Well, that's the name of our knife. Let's get into our first segment before our game. And I'm just going to sit and handle the knife a little bit and get used to it under camera and take a good look at it. Well, let's get right into our first segment. Okay, our first segment, as always on Carrierbury, is going to be Knowledge is King. So I thought really hard about what we should do with this section today. Well, I'm kind of lying to you guys. I didn't put much thought into it at all. So why don't we just talk a little bit about what a gravity knife is. I'm going to grab one that's not going to cut me here, that I'm more used to. This is the very first Reate Exo knife. This actually has a really wonderful Elmax steel on it. I love this thing. And as you can see, the reason it's called a gravity knife is because gravity actually opens it and closes it. Pretty cool. You have a titanium frame, and you're probably worried, well, when it's out, if it's gravity that's doing it, how are you stopping the knife from cutting yourself or coming back in? Just good old-fashioned manual friction. You know, before we had all these gadgets and locking mechanisms, this was the good old-fashioned way to do things. So, when did this start? Well, it's hard to say. Obviously, cutting knives and tools have been around for a long time. We haven't always had the equipment or lathes or anything like that to actually make these tiny little hardware pieces and locking mechanisms like G&G Hawk does, but I digress. The gravity knife actually comes from Germany, and it's a time in Germany that a lot of people don't like to hear about. In World War II, an issue that they were having with their paratroopers is they would head out on the plane, they would parachute into enemy territory, And gosh darn it, they get stuck in a tree from time to time. So what would they do? Well, operating a knife one-handed back in the day or getting it out of its sheath was difficult for the paratroopers. So they envisioned you're hanging on a tree, so let's use gravity to open a knife. So again, they were invented for paratroopers in World War II. They were invented on the German side. You will hear some people say that the Allies invented these. They did not. The first manufacturing processes came from Germany. All right, well, I hope you all learned something about gravity knives in general. Let's put this one back for a moment. That way we can put all of our focus on the Reate XOK Karambit series with its beautiful Bowler. Oh, it just did it again. Did you see that actually? The Bowler 690 blade stock. Let's say goodbye to the Knowledge is King section and let's welcome Professor's favorite segment, Professor's Particulars, which basically is all about them stats, baby. Yes. What are the stats of this lovely knife? Well, you have an overall length of about 6.69 inches while it is deployed. You do have a hawkbill style on there, so it's a very curved blade. The blade length I measured at 3.1 inches. They are saying it's 3 inches in the box, and most of the websites where you can pick one of these up for about $167 USD right now, which is a fantastic price from when we bought ours. They're about 3.07 inches. I get it. Tomatoes, tomatoes. Your cutting edge is under 3 inches, depending on how the police officer likes you. But again, if you get caught with a gravity karambit knife, I'm pretty sure the police officer is not going to like you. You have a blade stock width at the spine of 1 in 80 thousandths. Really nice thin blade stock that comes down to a remarkable thin edge here, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. The blade thickness at the actual edge, I've measured at 150 thousandths. They're saying online it's 160 thousandths. Who's right? Again, we talked about the blade material, Bowler N690. It is a medium style blade, still very easy to sharpen. Doesn't hold its edge terribly long, but it's a really good middle ground when it comes to hardness. Not bad. Especially when you have Reate, who does a very good job actually with their hardening systems. And they are going to be at about 60 Rockwell or 60 HRC. You might get yours at 59, 58, but anywhere between 57 and 62 and 690 is pretty good. We talked about the style of the blade, hawkbill style. It does have a flat grind that is really neat. I would hate to be the guy who had to sharpen this. Plain edge with the handle lengths about 3 and 620 thousandths. And again, the handle width is really thin too. So you got about a ½ inch of handle thickness according to the website. The actual knife has an aluminum handle. The fun knife has more of a PVD handle or some sort of polymer handle. You're looking at, on the cutting knife, about 4.48 ounces. So it is a little heavy, and I think it's a lot of the mechanisms in here that make it heavier. You've got a lot of moving parts to make it do what you're doing. It does have a tip-up carry clip, which again is good when you're having something that's more for self-defense. Made by Reate, model is the XOK. Model number in this particular guy is the BLK SW. Of course, these were made in China from one of the better Chinese knife companies, we should say. And although this is more of a novelty knife for some people, I would consider this a tactical carry knife. I hope those stats are helpful, but if you're anything like me, you don't know how big my hands are in real life. So let's take a look at some knives that you may know. In the meantime, let's say goodbye once again to our Professor's Particulars icon, and let's welcome in the comparison icon, the last icon before the game starts. All right, I don't have a lot of karambits here on the compound. Not a big tactical guy. I carry a firearm for that type of thing. So me having a really neat tactical knife for hand-to-hand combat isn't always something that I'm super excited about. But with that being said, and as always I digress, let's take a look at a knife that I'm sure a lot of you karambit fans have utilized. This really interesting Civivi knife, which is the Incisor. So this guy is actually the Incisor 2. This does have the Damascus style, beautiful Damascus style blade stock there. You're going to get a lot thinner blade on this, and it's overall a lot lighter. You don't have the really thick moving parts. In fact, you have just a simple button lock, and you're able to deploy this with a flipper tab as well, which is absolutely remarkable. Also, for hand-to-hand combat, it does have a pocket wedge. So what you would do is you would actually have this knife in your pocket, tip up, carry right hand. When you pull it out of your pocket, your jeans will snag this area here, which will get the knife deployed, allowing you a split-second reaction time, hopefully to save your life. One of the cool things about having a karambit. It's a lot lighter. You're looking at roughly the same size. You're going to have a lot more of a hawkbill style curve here. You're going to have an opening here, which is going to help with some of that speed, some of that weight reduction. Also have an opening in the flipper tab, which is really neat. A lot thinner overall, but it doesn't have that really neat karambit crazy style of a karambit that is 100% gravity fed. I still can't believe that they figured this out. Bravo to Reate. Let's put that hawkbill guy away. We talked a little bit about the original XOK, okay? Goodness. So we're going to bring both of the XO style first ones out here. This was the original, as we talked about. There was no locking mechanism. People didn't like that, although this was more traditional to the traditional way. We'll open that fully for you. It's a lot bigger knife. This was their first locking mechanism type of the knife. So basically they have included a lock in there to lock the knife so you can't accidentally open it in your pocket. You also may notice that this has a pocket clip. Not bad. This is going to be a tip down pocket clip since we have a gravity knife. Hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, feel free to make a comment. Put that next to the XO here. Give you a nice look. It's kind of more in lines with the XOM with the locking mechanism. Lengthwise, as you can see, thickness-wise, and obviously they're just completely different style knives. So, but they're both gravity knives nonetheless. Another interesting gravity knife that a lot of you may have, well, a lot of you like me that like to spend stupid amounts of money on knives. This is the Paragon Warlock, and it is a combat coffin style opener that you use a flick of the wrist. And as you can see, when you push both buttons simultaneously, you will get an opening that will house the actual blade. Pretty neat design. Takes a little time to get used to using this knife, obviously. As you can see, it's not exactly under the camera ready, but you may own a Paragon. You might want to say, hey, I might want to pick up these karambits. This is what you're looking at for size difference. All right, EDC family, we are going to say goodbye to these crazy dangerous style knives, according to a lot of people in the knife world. I disagree. And we are going to welcome in our actual carry game. Now, again, I've only had a few moments to go through this here, but I will say I can already tell you what I like and don't like about the knife. We are going to try to keep this less opinionated, but we're going to, as always, we're going to start with the needs, which are the positives of the knife. So one of the things that I will tell you right away is it's well built. So this is a very well-built knife. As somebody who takes everything apart to find out how it works, I tell you they did a fantastic job in CAD on this process. There's some things that we will talk about in the nail section shortly, but some of the things that I do like about the build is you've got a really fantastic way to tighten or loosen some of these. Can get you more of a unique opening deployment if you want to, and the locking mechanism is top notch. You actually have a secondary bar here which will stop it from overextending. I think that's a really nice touch, and I think a lot of other companies may have missed that. I do also like the aluminum handle, the more metal type handle with this one, and I got to tell you, the knife feels overall really well built, really solid. Number two, this is going to be our second nail. They are giving you a practice toy so you don't injure yourself. I mean, honest to God, I don't think you can go wrong with a company that really cares that much about your safety. We're talking about a gravity knife anyways. Most folks who buy a gravity knife, we know that safety can be something you need to pay attention to. But you actually have something here to help you practice with the big one. Now, granted, it's lighter, it's a little bit different, but the motion should be about the same. And if you look at any habitual feature of a human, motion is really the first thing that comes. It's one of Newton's first laws, right? So with that being said, you can't really fault a company for giving you something to train with. The third thing that I like about this, as always with Reate, the packaging. You get fantastic stuff. You get extra hardware. which is amazing for anytime you're buying a knife. If you strip something out, trying to get it cleaned, if you're trying to field strip it, all that good stuff. So those are going to be my top 3 positives. To go over them again, the overall design and build of this knife is fantastic. It really truly is. I like all the little attentions to detail, so absolute pocket on that. Pocket number 2, if you remember, they give you a freaking training knife so you don't hurt yourself. These things that come with it, come within the box. You really can't go wrong, and they make a cool yin-yang symbol. Anyways, I digress. That's number 2. Number 3, well, 100% what I like about number 3 is the box. So anytime you buy a Reate knife, you're going to get some cool stuff. We kind of showed you already, but they really pay attention to detail. Really nice microfiber cloths. You get a cute little, some fun stuff. There was some stickers in here, but I think I lost them somehow. But I mean, it's really nicely cut out, kind of like John Grimsmo does with his knives. You can't really go wrong again, and they fit in there really well. Put them away nicely, and you've got a nice little home for your gravity knives. So pretty cool. On the nail side, yeah, if you haven't noticed, I was a little shaky actually even deploying this for the first time under camera. I probably should have practiced with it off camera, but I didn't. Yeah, this one really got to me. So for a right-handed user, I can see that you're able to hold it in your palm, right? You got it in there. Then you've got to move it this way, push the button down, flick your whole arm out, and hope to God that that other part of the blade actually goes back. So you have a 2-part movement here. Lock goes down, first movement. If you don't have enough inertia, you're not going to get the actual hawkbill blade to move as well. So you really need to push it out, and you kind of have to be lucky because laws of gravity are always going to be at your downfall with something like this. Perpetual motion is not something that actually works, and this is kind of what this wants you to have. You have to put enough energy in it to get it to deploy properly with those 2 different stages. At any rate, that's one thing. It's kind of something that is scary to open, if you will, right? For a lack of better words right now. I mean, look at this. I've got a crazy sharp knife flopping around the table here. But it's on closing that really got me. If I were to close this wrong and it were not to hit its full action, I lose a finger every time. Is that something that we have to know about? 100%. Is it going to be something that I'm going to ding it on? Yeah. I think they actually could have used stop bearings. I know that we like the way that they built this, but a few little extra attentions to detail, it might raise the price a little bit. But a D stop bearing here, where you actually have a D inside the bearing system where it will work at whatever percentage that you have the line, that would actually help this rock out a little bit better. It would absolutely mean safer deployment and safer closing. But that's just me, right? It's $167. For what you get for $167 is pretty remarkable. So I digress again. Number 2, one of the other things that I really don't like about it is if you are going to be a lefty, right? So they make the pocket clip where you can make it ambidextrous. So for you lefty people, that sounds great. Well, how are you going to flip it out by pushing the button with your hand? You're not. This is not an ambidextrous knife. Our left-hand users in EDC family should not pick one of these up unless you have some crazy skills that I don't know about. Number 3. This one's kind of hard, but it's something that you probably already knew was coming, knowing us here on the channel. The weight to cutting edge ratio. I get it. It's a tactical knife. It's not an everyday knife for carrying, but it is though, right? That's what they're selling it for. With that being said, I see a lot of places on here where they could have cut weight, especially opening this up again. As you kind of will see here, nothing is skeletonized inside of the aluminum here. And it's very thick aluminum. If we would have had thicker blade stock on the blade, thicker stock here, we could have actually brought the aluminum down probably another, gosh, I mean, honestly, almost 1/8 of an inch. And at the worst case scenario, even if you need it this thick for whatever reason, you can actually get in there and start shaving some of that off. The chamfering is not done well. I mean, there's some light chamfering here where you're not going to get cut. But as I'm actually putting my hand in here, I'm actually feeling some hot spots on that ergonomics. So I think they could have done a little bit more chamfering on the machine side. You know, we do have some other nice features, but those are going to be my 3 nails. So once again, the very first nail is kind of the danger of opening and closing it without really damaging yourself. Number two is if you are going to be a lefty, right? So they make the pocket clip where you can, this is not an ambidextrous knife. Our left-hand users in EDC family should not pick one of these up. And number three, blade to weight ratio. It's unacceptable for me. You guys know that I like it to be right around that 1-to-1. Okay, now that kind of leads us to, is this something that I'm actually going to carry and use around the area here? Man, I know that you're probably saying, oh, you're going to carry it, Profit. I know you. Honestly, this is not something I'm going to carry, and I'm going to tell you why. I think that this is more of a novelty knife. As much as I hate to say it, as much as I know this could save somebody's life, I look at something that's going to be around the same price tag from a different company. This is a lot lighter. It has a lot more functionality for opening it when you need to. And I get, this is supposed to be gravity opened. Well, to me, a gravity open is not using inertia, right? That's using inertia. This should be an inertia opening knife, not a gravity opening knife. Whereas you have on the Civivi Incisor 2, you have multiple deployment options, lightweight, very, very nice and sharp blade with a more aggressive hawk style. This is a knife that I would everyday carry for protection. Whereas this, to me, is more of a novelty. Now, let's not take away from the actual gravity knives that you see that we actually showed you from Reate. So I don't want you to think that I'm not a Reate fan. I know they get a lot of hard times about their knives being very expensive, but typically they have an excellent process. They use premium materials, excellent fit and finish. It's really hard to blast them. And by the way, they actually even use cryo cooling when they're doing heat treatments. There's not a lot of people trying to do that the proper way these days. Reate, in my book, is a great company. The designer of this gets all the credit in the world for the cool design, but you are not going to see this one with a full-length review on this channel. It's a cool knife. It really is. But it's more of a knife that, honestly, I would just kind of have that looks cool. But it's really not a knife I'd want to hand anybody either. I mean, who are you going to hand this to? You're going to be worried that you're going to get sued every time, right? So the Reate XOK, first impression, it's a cool knife. It really is. For the money, you get a lot for the money, and it is a really fun little thing to have, especially if you're collecting the XO series. However, for me, it's not practical. It's heavy. It has way too many hot spots. Oh yeah, and I like to keep my fingers. I don't know about Professor, I don't know about Chaos, and I don't know about my little kitten behind us here, but my fingers are needed, and I think Kitten will tell you that that's true. With that being said, we really are very happy that you chose to join us for our mini game here. Always be mindful of your local knife laws and regulations as an EDC family. How do you do this? One thing you can do is go to akti.org. They are the American Knife and Tool Institute, and guys, they are on the front lines. So go ahead and check them out. All right, so as we get to our closing here, EDC family, we are putting away the knife that can take my finger away, and we'll just have another Reate knife that you're going to see on the channel soon in a full review. The regular Reate XO skeleton. Beautiful knife. Okay, so at any rate, remember, we are not social media experts, but EDC family, you guys have been amazing with your help. We can grow with you, okay? So feel free to lovingly click that search bar, right? And find us on your favorite social media sites, all one word, at carryorbury. We would love to see what's in your pocket. We would love to see what's in your shopping cart. Or we would like to see what you'd like us to review. Literally, I love spending money. You guys know this. Some of you have already had me spend stupid amounts of money just to do a knife review, and we will keep doing it for you. So tell us what you want reviewed. Now, we are not just knife people. Please feel free to share all of your EDC gear and items. We would love to hear more about all that. Don't forget to click subscribe. You'll get some more content eventually. And with your help, we can all be the most prepared family on YouTube. So until next time, EDC family, keep gravity. Actually, keep your blade sharp, right? Keep your flashlights charged. And if you're anything like good old Profit, keep your Band-Aids close. Remember, you are the best tool in your daily EDC loadout. God bless you. We'll see you next time. Thank you for tuning in. Oh, spoiler alert. Our buddy Herc's going to come over here for our next video, and you are going to get something kind of special. I don't know if you're seeing this. Now, I know what you're all thinking. You're going to make this political, and you're going to start fighting before this video comes out. Let's not do that. This is a knife channel, okay? I'm not going to come on here and say, wow, this knife is the sharpest knife. We're going to give you an absolute 100% honest look into these radio knives that you can buy from radio stations and late night television. Is it a good idea? I don't know. Find out next time.